Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. If you're absolutely in love with the New York Knicks like I am, I recommend clicking the red subscribe button down below and lighting up the post notification bell so you do not miss any future content on this channel. So unfortunately, the New York Knicks are in the off season, and I don't like saying that. I wish the Knicks are still in the playoffs. I wish they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. I wouldn't have cared if we got swept. Obviously, I would still be like pissed off, like naturally as a fan, just my emotions. But I just wanted the feeling of just being there, man. Like I've never seen the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. This is the closest I've seen the New York Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, we lost in 7 games. The seventh game being at Madison Square Garden, we lost in ugly fashion. So we won 50 games this season, and which is obviously very successful. We were the second seed in the Eastern Conference. We won 54 games back in the 2012 to 13 season. So there's a lot to break down when it comes to this New York Knicks team this season and just how this season was. It was just so emotional. It was so much fun just seeing how resilient this team is, overcoming adversity, and just seeing players blossom, seeing players grow and develop from different situations. People will probably label them as, oh, probably a solid bench player, just an energy guy. But no, we've seen like development of DiVincenzo. We've seen development of Hartenstein, McBride, seeing them in brand new roles, get opportunities and absolutely flourish. It's been so much fun. But the main question a lot of people are asking, other Knicks fans, or you see it on Twitter, you see it on Instagram, asking Knicks communities, should the New York Knicks run it back? Should the New York Knicks run it back? So obviously went to the Eastern Conference semifinals. We were 1 game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. So there's definitely a positive way of looking at this. Yes, we lost. It sucks. And I'm someone that doesn't like to make excuses. I do think the injuries had a big impact on us when it comes to playoffs. You know, if it was the start, like a big time starter of Julius Randle, if it was the bench, of course, not having Bogdanovich, that extra spacing the floor. I thought he played pretty well in that Philly series. But the New York Knicks definitely could have played better those last couple games. And we could talk about injuries, but I do think things need to change when it comes to the perimeter defense. That might just be Tibbs, that he's really interior oriented. Even though I thought we struggled defending in the interior that game, I thought there was. But going back to the perimeter, I thought McBride was over helping. When he checked the game off the bench, he really struggled off the bench that series, but it was good as a starter versus Indiana. It was really good off the bench versus the Philadelphia 76ers, but I thought he was over helping, which led Halliburton open for threes. He got comfortable. Turner was killing us in the interior. I thought Hartenstein was backpedaling. He wasn't playing as physical as he usually does. You know, he's had that Achilles thing throughout the year, but I'm not sure how healthy he really was in the playoffs. I know no team is fully healthy in the playoffs, you know, just fatigue-wise and all that. We had another level, but I was disappointed in Hartenstein. I wish he played with more physicality. We weren't going to win that game if he had 0 points and wasn't really dominating the glass. Whatever team was going to dominate the offensive glass, get those second chance opportunities and flourish off of them, had a pretty high chance of winning this series. And you could say the same thing with the Philly series. We just absolutely dominated the glass, and we were so physical. And even before Brunson got hurt, I thought he struggled. Josh Hart, of course, his abdominal just effed up. Apparently, like, he coughed every time he breathed. Like, it was just that freaking bad. Mitch was injured this series. Obviously, no Randall. We're going to be getting into that. And it really sucks that we lost in that fashion. You know, at the Garden, we had a chance to clinch a playoff series for the first time, like, winning the whole series at Madison Square Garden, but for the first time since 1999, when we were the 8th seed and we lost the first seed San Antonio Spurs, or we lost the Spurs in the finals, even though we were like the first 8th seed during that time to go to the finals. Obviously, the Heat changed that, but even with all these injuries, just seeing this team overcome adversity, and just Jalen Brunson look like, you could say he looked like a 1 last year, but there's still people saying he looked like a really good number 2. This season showed that he's a number 1 option, like really, especially with the adversity of no Julius Randle, because we could talk about, yeah, like we had Randle in the playoffs last year, but he was hurt, but still having a hurt player, there's still so much gravity out there in the floor that so many defenders go to one side of the floor, and it takes pressure off of Jalen Brunson. His presence alone, his physicality alone, his ability to dominate the paint and still be able to create his own shot. There still is an element there that takes pressure off of Brunson. Brunson was like 80% of our offense in the playoffs, and we knew, like, everyone knew that was the head of the snake, and he still found ways to score the basketball. He still found ways to make big-time shots. I do think they put extra pressure and physicality on Brunson that slowed him down a little bit those last couple games, and we needed him to play better on the road, especially if we wanted to win the series. Also, other elements, but 28 points per game got even better, but still stayed efficient. Shot 40% from 3, 47% from the field, shot better from the free throw line. His assists went up. He's a leader, professional after every game. This dude just plays with so much heart. Unbelievable season by him. And to just think about that 4 out of our 5 starters were different at the beginning of the season. Obviously Brunson started, but DiVincenzo was a free agent. We signed him, and he came off the bench at first. We're thinking Grimes is going to take a leap. We trade him to Detroit. Wasn't even playing really at the end of the season. Wasn't really getting action. Dante steps in, averages 15 points per game. Not for the whole season, but I want to say he averaged nearly 18 points per game when he was a starter. OG through a trade. Randall gets hurt. Hart steps in. They said we're going to be too small. Hart just dominating the glass. In the regular season, getting triple doubles, or even in the playoffs, being top 3, literally in the entire playoffs of the NBA in rebounding when we were still in the playoffs. Mitchell Robinson was starting. Hartenstein steps in. Another guy was a free agent, and the Clippers decided to sign John Wall or get John Wall over taking Hartenstein, and Hartenstein even wanted a discount. Seeing the development of McBride, just so much, such a fun season. 26-6 with OG Anunoby. We're gonna be talking about his health. Some people look at that as positive and negative, 26-6, but that's not a lot of games with OG due to his health. So it was still such a fun season, and I'm excited for the Knicks next year. So should the Knicks run it back? Should we make tweaks? Should the Knicks make a big move? So when I look at this Knicks team right now, and we also have to look at the full picture. Right now, I don't think there's one team. There's no team that's going to go 73-9. There's no team that's going to go back-to-back and be a champion right now in this league, in my opinion, that has that type of potential. And I'm not saying we're going to win a championship next year, but you look at the Eastern Conference, you look at all these injuries we had, we're still just one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. And I know Boston, you could say it doesn't matter how you win, you figure out ways to win, you deserve to be in it. Boston went through the Miami, but this is part of being the 1 seed. You're going to obviously get that 8 seed. Heat killed with injuries. No Jimmy Butler got hurt in the play-in. I don't believe in Bam as the number 1 option. Hawkins ended up hurting his hip throughout the series. Terry Rozier had a neck thing, so that was an easy series for them. I know Halliburton ended up getting hurt. I do believe they are better than them, but they rely on the 3-ball a lot. They really do. I think it's more of a mental game with this Celtics team. They're still down 18 points against a Pacers team that had no Halliburton. And I understand they have depth. The Pacers have depth. McConnell is one of the best bench players in the league, so he's just unbelievable with just how his ability to get up in guys' jerseys, shoot the mid-range shot. But with Porzingis, people say that's the piece that puts him over the top. Well, he's not healthy right now. And is Porzingis even going to be with that team in a few years? His health isn't good right now. It's going to be even worse. I hope it's not, because there's a human element to this game, and I never wish injuries. But his frame, can it still hold up for a couple of years and still put them over the top? That's the thing. And when you look at this Knicks team, I think this is the best constructed Knicks team I've seen, as a Knicks fan. If we stay healthy. Because with OG, I do think we need to get some insurance. A depth piece through the draft, whatever it is. Because we know what these guys, we know what Daquan Jeffries is. We know what Charlie Brown is. They're not really anything. No disrespect to them. They're probably really supportive off the bench. But we need to get some insurance for OG Anunoby if he gets hurt. And that's the thing. If it's through the draft, free agency, whatever it is, you could say the same thing with Mitchell Robinson. I love Mitch when he's out there on the floor. But, man, he can't consistently stay healthy. That's why some people want to trade him. But the reason why I'm saying this is the best well-rounded team, obviously we saw that January was insane. We went on a near 10-game winning streak. We lost Randall. We lost the Lakers, obviously. We had the OG injury. We're just getting killed. But January was amazing. Because this is the thing. No shot at RJ, but he was inconsistent shooting the 3-ball with the Knicks. I know he shot it better in Toronto when he got traded over there. But there was the gravity already with having Brunson, with having Randall. The defense focuses on Brunson. We know he's the head of the snake. The defense focuses on Randall being that number 2 option. And when there's that much of attraction, when there's that much gravity, the defense shifting over to the corner or the wing or the top of the key to defend Brunson, that OG corner shot's going to be there. He's going to be open, and he's going to be able to capitalize. That's one of the main reasons the offense was so successful, because Brunson was able to have a breather, Randall was able to have a breather, and we were getting easier shots within the offense, and you have Dante that could stretch the floor as well and shoot the 3-ball. We saw how important that was when healthy and how just big time that is. We get easier shots within the offense when that wasn't the case with the playoffs, because we didn't have that extra gravity. We didn't have that other guy to take pressure off of Jalen Brunson. So our offense is going to flow better. You could say Tibbs' offense is stale or whatever, but just simple fundamental things like that the New York Knicks can execute at, which could be big time for this team moving forward, and if we're healthy playoff time. So I absolutely love that when it comes to the New York Knicks. I do want to add a true backup guard. I really do. McBride, I think, is better off the ball. I'm not saying he can't develop into pass first point guard, but when I look at this Knicks team right now, I think Tibbs is thinking like as long as we have Jalen Brunson averaging like 28 a game and just seeing how clutch he is and winning us games, and we have Randall, like we're trying to win a championship. We really are. We're not waiting for McBride to develop into dribble the ball up, make the right read, pass first point guard. No, you're playing off the ball. Let's bring in a veteran. I don't think we're gonna have enough money for Tyus Jones. I don't think so. But if the Knicks can bring in a veteran guard, I'd be happy with that. Because I don't think, like, it's a different situation. You could say, yeah, we took quickly with the 25th pick. We played him 19 minutes per game his rookie year. But this is a different situation. That a weird direction. Like, Randall popped off that year. Like, we drafted Obi maybe to be Randall's replacement. Now, it's like, we're win now. Like, we're thinking like we're a legit team. So we have that balance on offense. We have the versatility on defense. And we could talk about Randall. I think he's an inconsistent defender. When he's locked in, he's a good defender. He's a great rebounder. Obviously, he's like 25 and 10 guy. But just his physicality alone, I think people are underrating. And this was a different Randall this time around. That he was making better reads. He was quicker. I know he's had his struggles in the playoffs. But we haven't seen it with this roster. You know, we haven't seen it with more spacing. You know, consistent spacing. And Hartenstein has the ability to have that. He has that floater in the interior. More things are going to be open for Hartenstein as well. So we have more of a working downhill Julius Randle, which I think can excel in the playoffs. And he's had that kick out ability to Dante DiVincenzo. And just, I believe in team chemistry. I really do. Super teams aren't a thing anymore. You still need like a 1A talent, no doubt. But you can't expect to put together like Devin Booker or Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. They barely play any games together. They have no chemistry. Like, that's not going to work. Chemistry is still a factor. You know, you could say the Sixers had more talent than us. I know Embiid was on one leg. You could say he still had a 50-point game. You could say the Sixers still had more talent of like 1A, like 1-2 punch of Maxey and Embiid. But we played more as a team. We made more hustle plays. We wanted it more than them. We killed them on the glass. And this team, I believe, really, truly wants it. And another reason to be excited, we haven't seen Josh Hart in his real role. Like, as a Knick, there's always been an injury popping up that he has to be in the starting lineup and do more than he should actually have to do. He should be just like a 9.7 rebound guy off the bench, shoot the threes if they're open, attack, get those second chance opportunities, you know, push in transition, initiate the offense. We've seen that, but not in his true role. You know, so that helps out our depth. I think people forget about that. Obviously, we're going to have to pay OG. We're going to have to pay Hartenstein. OG's rumored to get around $35 million a year. At first, there was a scare that like he was going to explore elsewhere, but then a report came out that like Fred Katz said he'd be surprised if OG doesn't resign. So I think OG will be back. Hartenstein, that's a name to look out for. He's rumored to get around 17 to 18 million a year. And Oklahoma City could really throw the bag at him. They need a center. They need that physical body. But seeing the development of guys this year was awesome. And DiVincenzo's gonna know his role this season. You know, he understands Tibbs. Same thing with Hartenstein. So we have a solidified starting five, unless we make a Mikal Bridges trade or like Paul George trade or something like that. But Brunson, we know, is our starting point guard. DiVincenzo, we know, is our starting shooting guard. He's proven more than Grimes in 1 year. Like, he's shown he could average 17 per game in the playoffs. He's not averaging 5. You know, he could show that he could step up in the big games. You know, OG, can he stay healthy? That's the main thing. Fantastic defensive player. You know, he could be on the block, reach out, and close out so easily to that corner. You know, his communication skills, moving without the ball, that's another thing. Easier offense right there. We've seen it, but obviously the injuries, and we didn't get to see a playoff time. But floor spacing, defensively, physicality is so important in the playoffs. And OG can get those rebounds if you want to. We saw it in the playoffs. And he's shown that he can be aggressive. Like, OG's not a terrible offensive player. We've seen him turn it on, but it's just like this offense is run through Brunson. Let him go to work. I'm not going to try to do too much with the ball in your hands. So if you have Brunson that's able to score the ball, you have Randall, DiVincenzo can shoot threes, and I thought he improved as a driver. His finishing was iffy in the playoffs, but in the regular season, I thought he got better. But the playoffs is obviously a big deal. But DiVincenzo showed he could score. And you have OG, that's not a slouch offensively, and Hartenstein get a floater. Like, you have a balance of offense and defense there. You really do. And adding another physical body, if someone drives in the paint, I think Randall could help out Hartenstein there. I'm not saying Randall's a rim protector. He's not. But again, being physical, having a physical body helps. Do the Knicks bring back an Achua? I really didn't like him in the Indiana series. Thought he defended horribly. Thought he matched up better versus Philly. Maybe we bring him back on 1 year. Does Burks come back? He was ready. He was prepared. So when you look at this Knicks team is so freaking mentally tough. We are 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals with this roster. You know, just killed with injuries. 7-man rotation. And if this is the year that you blame Tibbs for injuries, I don't really think it's the year. I don't. Bogdanovich diving for a loose ball. He gets hurt. That wasn't Batum's fault. Mitchell Robinson, did it get worse when Embiid landed on him? That could have been it. Maybe you could say Hart. his abdominal. I'm not a doctor. OG hamstring, but OG was out so many games and he's injury prone, so you never know with him. Do you think Julius Randle should have still been out there on the floor when he got hurt? I believe the Heat were going on a little bit of a run, but we were up to like 10 with like 2 minutes left, so it was kind of a freak accident. It wasn't from like Tibbs playing him so many minutes. So I don't think it's the year. Hopefully we have a bench. We utilize it next year. And people forget, like, he utilized quickly in the playoffs even when he was struggling. Like, he still utilized Obi in the playoffs. Like, people think Tibbs didn't play his guys at all last playoff run. Like, it's starting to become a narrative. Well, it's always been a narrative. And do you trust Daquan Jeffries? Do you trust these other guys that are available to get action for you? I don't trust Sims. Like, I don't in the playoffs. But the Knicks, I do think they should run it back, but they should add a center just for depth because I don't trust Sims. You never know with Mitch. They should get a true backup point guard that can initiate the offense to set other guys up and get us easier buckets because those non-Brunson minutes are so important. Like, so important. Like, you could say playoff time, F rest, but no, Brunson still needs a breather. You know, there still is a fatigue factor. You still need depth on this team. So I would like us to add a depth piece. I know some people are talking about, like, picks, Bogdanovich for Kuzma off the bench. Would Kuzma do that? Would he come off the bench? Would he be like, well, I was just with the Wizards. I want to try to win. And you get that extra score just in case OG gets hurt. And because OG, unfortunately, I think we're getting 50 to 60 games of him. And we're going to be very successful in those games. We're going to have like an unbelievable record. But can he stay healthy? Can he be out there on the floor? But with this Knicks team, with the balance of offense and defense, you know, the gravity, Randle, Brunson, having OG, he's not going to play the full season, unfortunately. He's probably not going to play 70-plus games. Do I hope that? Yes. But with their gravity, opens up so much for others. Like, when this team is healthy, again, Randle playoff time, how is he? It's mental with Randle, though. I really believe it's mental, making the right decisions, being mentally tough, you know, attacking the basket more, less settling. And I felt we got that, Randle. Again, we have to see it, though, in the playoffs. But the Hawks series, but he was like the only one that can create a shot. We had Alfred Payton, fucking Nerlens Noel, Reggie Bullock. They had Trae Young defending Reggie Bullock because Reggie Bullock couldn't take anyone off the dribble. This time around, he was hurt. He had a few 20-point games, I believe, in the Miami series. I know he did not play well in the elimination game 6. Him and RJ Barrett absolutely stunk it up. But he was, like, hurt. Like, he was seriously hurt and, like, through Payton. I believe he had to get surgery literally after that playoff series, so it's not an excuse. Everyone can have their own narratives with Tibbs. Like, my thing is, you could not agree with me, but at the end of the day, we all want the New York Knicks to be successful. We all want the best results possible for the New York Knicks. It sucks. We were 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. We were up 2-0 in that series. And we could talk about what if we were out healthy, but we just got to move on. We just have to move on. Unfortunately, I'm not telling you guys what to do. But it was a fun, exciting Knicks season. And I would still like to see maybe the Knicks bring in some youth with some draft picks just to replace Charlie Brown on the roster. And Daquan Jeffries, like Charlie Brown seems like a very supportive guy on the roster, but to replace Jacob Toppin, because just in case of injuries, like, you know what Charlie Brown is, you know what Daquan Jeffries is. Like, these young guys, they may have more to bring to the table, obviously. I know it's a weaker draft, but you never know if you do your due diligence and you scout very well. But I'm excited for this upcoming season. We have a big free agency ahead of us. But I do think the New York Knicks are going to bring back their guys. But just the questions up in the air for me is Precious going to be brought back? If it's for depth, like if there's no one really available in free agency that they're interested in, you know, that's something to look out for. Are we going to bring back Burks? Is the same scenario with that? Like, he was ready in the playoffs. Age didn't look like a factor. He was able to score the basketball. And there was times he was actually playing very solid defense. But a team I would look out for is Philly to see what they're going to do. That could impact the East. You know, they had so many one-year contracts. If it was Kelly Oubre, they're probably going to resign. But they had Cameron Payne. They had Nicholas Batum. They had Buddy Hield. And then you get the Tobias Harris contract off the books of $39 million. And I saw a report if they cannot land Paul George, he's a player option and may want money, and they're going to be available to give him that money and maybe make a big three of Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George. But one of the main reasons Paul George probably, if he leaves LA, is because of Kawhi's health, him consistently not being out there, and Embiid hasn't been consistently healthy and 100% in the playoffs. Again, no player's 100%, but he's had some serious knee issues, which has definitely been a factor. And I think the only way, but yeah, if they said they can't get Paul George, they're going after OG Anunoby, and I think the only way we get Mikal Bridges is if he demands a trade to the Knicks, because the only way we get him is that or a 3-team trade that goes down, which could be from him demanding a trade. I mean, it's kind of a rival, not really. It's just because both teams play in New York. Obviously, the Knicks are better right now. But let me know down below your thoughts on the New York Knicks. Peace out, y'all.